Is everything working? Cool. All right, guys, let me do my intro. Hey, welcome to the Sci-Fi Center Live Star Trek Weekly Edition. Sorry I'm late. I got caught up in something else I was doing and lost track of time. And we're about to go out and see the Flash for the second time. So I'm kind of like all over the place today. We're going to be discussing spoiler discussion. So let me go ahead and put in spoiler banners in there. We're going to be talking Strange New World spoiler discussion. Let me go ahead and bring in Thade. What's going on?
Not much, man. Not much.
Yeah, very packed Friday. I just didn't realize how much I had going on within such a compact amount of time. Uh,
It's all right, man.
so, um, so I saw the episode, watched it live. We're gonna try to work out the kinks and do our live watch party with via Twitch next week. Um, love the episode. The only thing I have a problem with, stop stealing the Enterprise, man. Come on, how many times are we gonna do this? I
well,
mean,
well, to be honest, Robert April just let the ship go. I mean, it's not like Starfleet didn't let them go. Come on.
well, yeah, with the whole venting and the thing, and them having to get away, and
Uh huh.
then obviously you saw at the end why he didn't really care too much about what Spock ended up doing because obviously the Gorn are going to be a much bigger part in this thing.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Um, I like this episode. I had a lot of fun. It wasn't the best Strange New World episode for me, but it was a lot of fun. A good way to kick
It
off the season.
it was a good opener, and there's a new character that just intrigues the hell out of me. Commander Pelia.
Carol, I can't do the accent right now. I'm going to have to take some time to get used to that accent.
Yeah.
That accent was driving me crazy because I love that actress, but that accent was driving me crazy the whole time. I'm like, oh my god, and it's a heavy. I'm like, oh, but I like her character. I think her character, it's probably a good lead into Scotty because I can see her being the person that probably recommends Scotty or trains Scotty or somebody she knows.
She was probably his teacher in
Yeah,
engineering school. But the
yeah,
thing about it, what intrigues me about her is for one, she's thousands of years old. I watched an interview with Carol Kane, and she said
okay,
that according to the scripts, her character is thousands of years old, not just a thousand, thousands.
that's
And
weird.
apparently, the Lanthanites, which her race, have lived amongst humans since the Stone Age.
Yeah, when undetected, they said, right?
Yeah, so they're leaning into that whole sky gods thing, ancient alien sky gods thing, kind
Oh,
of.
chariot of the gods,
Yeah, they're kind of
gods,
leaning.
aliens. It does this guy.
Yeah, they're leaning into that ancient aliens kind of weirdness. But I'm intrigued for one because she mentions Spock's mother, Amanda,
Yeah, Amanda Grayson. Yeah.
and it's like Sel and I were saying last night. We want them to lean into that. We want to find out more about Amanda, who she was, what she did, why she married a Vulcan, all of that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot to her. I like the fact that they didn't have to revolve the entire story around Captain Pike or Number One. They were pretty much in it for 2 minutes and they were gone. So you got to see a lot of the other characters. I like the fact that the Klingon War, they dive into the Klingon War and just how brutal it gives you some perspective because all we've ever heard with Star Trek was that it was there was a conflict with the Klingons, but we never really went into it, and that's a lot about Star Trek that we pass over a lot of the ugly stuff, the Romulan War, things like that, but we never really go into great detail. And when you have characters like that have gone through some of the stuff, then you get to hear about it, like the Doctor Mabinga and Chapel. They got war scars, so I enjoyed seeing that dimension of them as well.
So
Yeah,
this
she
is
looks.
this is the
Yeah,
this is the new character, Commander Pelia. She's going to be our chief engineer at least for this season, as far as we know. Um, I like her, but she sounds like okay. So this actress played Miracle Max's wife in Princess Bride.
Yeah,
and
she's been in a ton of stuff. Yeah,
she sounds a lot like her character in The Princess Bride.
I think that's where she reminded me of.
Yeah, it's Miracle Max's wife, but like younger looking.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take some time to get used to this character. But the episode starts off with number one. She's in a penal colony, or she's on trial somewhere, being held somewhere, and Pike and them talking about how he's still fighting for her. And apparently he goes off for 3 days to go. I forgot who he went to go talk to. I think did he go talk to his girlfriend that one that arrested her, or who did he go see? He was going off for 3 days to see somebody, and he just kind of leaves Spock in charge because there's no first officer, obviously. And then
He's going to go get this lawyer that's on this planet that him and Una know. That
okay,
he's wanting to try to get her to defend Una.
okay, and they're setting that up her trial for. I think her trial's going to happen pretty soon, and she'll obviously get exonerated. But I don't know what the.
It actually the court martial will happen next episode.
Okay, so there you go. So 2 into 10, that's good for me because I've already seen some of the scenes where they are she's already back as being first officers. It's kind of predictable, but it's kind of cool. After that, they get a transmission. Well, they have all this upheaval going on because all these inspections and everything. They've been in dry dock forever. They have all these people. You can kind of see that the crew is getting more used to the ship. Um, Ensign Uhura is a little bit more territorial, or I mean, they all are. I liked Ortega's response to guys messing with her calibrations on the bridge. Like, you know what, I have it this way because I don't like to get shot. So you see all this upheaval, and then they get this transmission from Chong, Christina Chong's character. I forgot her first name. I'm going to call her Kong.
Leon. Leon.
Uh, so they get her, and then she's been gone from Starfleet. I didn't at first. One of the things that I had issue with this is Spock's characterization, but I also have to remind myself that when we first see Spock, he's already evolved into what he's going to be. So a lot of the things that I would have said were out of character for Spock that I know this is not that Spock yet. So the way he was responding to Nurse Chapel, the way he kind of impetuously responds to the distress call from her, just basically like, let's go. Older Spock, Lieutenant Commander Spock would have probably put a little bit more logic into it. But when we see Spock, he's got a little bit more grasp on his logic than he does here. So I can kind of understand that. So yeah, they end up going, and I thought the stealing of the Enterprise was a little bit too easy. But that's fine. I mean, like I said, everybody's got to steal the Enterprise.
Well, like I said, it was easy because they let them go. It's obvious Robert April let them go. Uh, they didn't try to stop them, and they're at Starbase One. They're in the Salt system. There were enough ships there to stop the Enterprise.
Well, and
Okay.
they know where they're going, so they could have, and
Yeah.
they're only going War 5. So I could see that, but like I said, and they explain why they let them go, and I enjoyed the Klingons. I
Speaking
enjoyed
of
that. Yeah,
speaking of Klingons, hold on just a minute. They actually look normal, in my opinion.
and they should here, but I still want to see in this series and somewhere the flat-headed Klingons, and I want them to wipe away that explanation, that horrid explanation that they gave him in Enterprise. I think using the see, they look fine, and the whole blood wine thing, everybody getting drunk off of blood wine.
This is the
So,
Klingon captain of the D7 that comes in later on in the episode. This is the guy that he gets Spock to drink with him.
yeah, he gets like he's like a Vulcan that doesn't act like a Vulcan. Um, I thought he was great. I liked the whole jolly, the jolly, giant type of. He reminded me of the Hawkman off of Flash Gordon. Yeah, and then they are, drinking, getting that mutual respect. I thought, I like the scene. I like the logic behind the scene. I thought it was good. And like I said, I still want to see. I want them to retell the story of the flat-headed Klingons, the flat ridge, not ridgeless Klingons. And I think there's a way they could do it using this very storyline that they use with the subterfuge of them building a Starfleet ship. Because once again, I'm always going to say, if I were ever to write Star Trek, the Romulans were involved in the Klingons' evolution to the ones that you saw in the original series at first. And who has more to gain from the Klingons and the Federation going back to war will be the Romulans. So I would, if I were them, I would tie it into my big overarching storyline that I told you guys about a few months ago, to where everything ties back to Enterprise, Kittimar, all that stuff, where that future Romulan is disrupting all of Star Trek from beginning to end, and I would tie it all together. It would be kind of cool. But for right now, I thought that was pretty clever that they're stealing these weapons to basically start another war, because war is profitable. Now, I think there should be a deeper motive than just war is profitable. But I'm gonna let them get to that. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed that the ship.
This D7 looks gorgeous when they in the episode
Yeah,
when they zoom in on it. This ship is so detailed. In fact, when they set their weapons to attack, you actually see the little things lock out and like go off safety or whatever. Like the guns go forward and all that. It's really cool how they've reestablished the D7s.
yeah. D7s are cool, and I think that somewhere along the line, I want to see where the Klingons got their cloaking device, and not that I know where they got their cloaking device, but I want to see the circumstances and the treaty and the agreement that they end up coming to with the Romulans to get that. These stories, these are stories I want to see told, that they've only kind of skimmed over, and when they did approach these stories, they did them poorly. So I'm looking forward to Strange New Worlds addressing a lot of that stuff. So the fight scenes, the one thing I could have done without is the Doctor and Nurse Chapel going full on Matrix. I didn't know if the story needed that.
Yeah, but you
I
have to admit it is a cool sequence though,
It is, but I don't know if it was properly placed here in this.
and it
Now,
actually
I thought it was
makes
cool introducing that green stuff. The green stuff was cool because now you got to have
that's
that.
a combat stem. It's basically a combat stem, and they established earlier. I can't remember where it was. It might have been in one of the novels that during the Klingon War, we had to figure out a way to go toe to toe with the Klingons in hand to hand combat. So they created these combat stems to fight in the war, and that's what they shot themselves up with to be able to go toe to toe with those Klingons. And you have to admit, Mbanga's scary, dude. Like,
Well, yeah, and given his background, now that you know his background, because you get the sense, like I said, the fight scene. I don't know if it was properly placed, but their demeanor, and like I said, I've been to combat. I've seen people who come back and forth from combat. Their moods and their demeanor was very accurate when confronting with war again. You could clearly see that these guys had conflict before, and it wasn't just them talking. So I thought they did a great job portraying that. But yeah, that fight scene and them getting on that ship and doing, like I said, Neo and Trinity on everybody, kind of weird. But I thought that like I said, it was clever that these boneheaded Klingons are building a starship to go start another war, and that
war
was a big deal.
profiteering.
Yep.
War profiteering is oh, what's the word? Profitable.
Yeah. So I really, like I said, I bought it. I bought it. I think the fight scene wasn't bad, but I just didn't. I thought it lasted a really long time.
And it kind
Mm.
of leans, the whole war profiteering idea, trying to restart the war, kind of leans into what they later do with Star Trek 6. Because
Oh, with the
even in that case, they're trying to restart the war. They're trying to.
well, in Star Trek 6, it's not so much that they're restarting the war, is that neither side wants to give up what makes them Starfleet and what makes them Klingons. I don't think they want to fight anymore in Star Trek 6. They just don't want that change that erases what they are. Whereas this, they're just going to be selling weapons and all, profiteering off of death. Whereas Star Trek 6, and if you, even Kirk was guilty of it. And even the Klingon ambassador's daughter, Gorkin's daughter, was like, would you be willing to give up Starfleet for this type of peace? And Kirk, at his core, had to think about that. And while he was thinking about that innocently and honestly, Colonel West and all those other clowns were thinking about it conspiratorially. And they're like, this is who we are. We would be okay without fighting Starfleet for another 50, 20, 50, 100 years, but we don't want to give up what it means to be Starfleet. And then you had the Klingons who are Christopher Plummer's character, who were on the other side, not wanting to give up what it means to be Klingon. I don't think they ever wanted to go to war, but it was just like an identity thing. Here, they're just, fuck it, we just want people to die so we can sell you more weapons and die with them, which is kind of cold blooded, but it was kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mabinga was definitely scary, but yeah, I like, and they built a pretty good ship. It almost passed for if it hadn't been for that SOS code that they were, and they figured it out too, but if it hadn't been for that SOS code that they put out, that might have passed for a Starfleet ship.
Yeah.
So they came really close to putting it
It
on.
was
So
it was almost a CrossFit class.
yeah, that's what she identified it as CrossFit caster. Yeah, there you go. And she was all beat to hell.
Yeah, that was them about to get themselves spaced.
Yeah, when they you know what? Come on, they're dead. I'm sorry. When they went
Actually,
out
no.
there and they
And
froze, I don't care.
this is something that I've explained to people before. You don't automatically die in space. For one, when they got blasted out the airlock, there's enough oxygen surrounding their bodies for you to last for like a couple of minutes. He said that they would go unconscious after 15 seconds. They weren't out there that long.
Yeah, okay. It's like when Total Recall when they get out on the surface of Mars and Arnold Schwarzenegger and what's her face, Rachel Talkington's eyes start bulging out, and I'm like,
That
and then
that
they
wouldn't
go the
happen either.
atmosphere, and then they're all good again. I'm like, come on, man.
Well, first of all, you wouldn't automatically die like that on Mars. It wouldn't start that quickly.
But you would be
For
blind and deaf though, because your eyes be bulging out like that, and your eardrums would be all blown up.
okay, first of all, that whole thing was uh, horribly inaccurate. There's enough of an atmosphere on Mars. What's going to happen to you on Mars is you're not going to go through a vacuum on Mars. You're going to suffocate because there's not enough oxygen. You're not exposed to the vacuum on Mars. Not like on the moon. Now
Yeah, yeah,
on the moon you're screwed. But on Mars you've got a thin atmosphere, but you'll eventually suffocate. It's like going up high into the mountains. You know how the air gets thinner? That's how
yeah,
it is on Mars at this moment.
yeah. You wouldn't be able to breathe. Yeah.
No.
But I always thought it's hilarious. But yeah, and I'm like, okay, of course they're gonna survive. Like I said, the only characters I ever wonder about who's gonna live or die are the characters that don't make it through the future. Like obviously, I know Nurse Chapel's not gonna die in this run. Benga, ooh, I don't know.
Well, Mbenga was on at least an episode, maybe two episodes of the original series. Remember,
Okay, yeah, that's right, that's right. So he's not gonna die. So some of these it kind of takes away. I mean, I love this show, but then again, I'm dealing with Pike, who knows what he's going to be, and I can't wait to see how they're going to deal with that. So
it's like Stella says. She counted. They were out in space for about 20 seconds before the Enterprise beamed them aboard. Remember, he said that you would pass out after 15 seconds.
oh yeah,
She
and they did
passed
pass
out.
that.
He was still awake when he came on when he hit that transporter pad.
Yeah, and
He
Spock with
was
tears in his eyes. That was kind of like I said. I had to get over the fact that this is not the Spock that we're going to get introduced to. When he later on, because he was way emotional this episode, man.
well, and that's the thing though. That's what makes him good. Like that's what makes Ethan Peck's portrayal of Spock good. He hasn't reconciled his human side yet. Remember, he just went through the Kolinar, or was trying to go through the Kolinar at the start of the motion picture,
Yeah, and he dropped the necklace.
and he dropped it to go back to the Enterprise. He doesn't fully go through Kolinar until after he comes back from the dead.
Yeah, and he's still kind of like me because and we have to, like I said, the eternal reminder is that Spock is half human.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
another thing too. Just because it says Vulcans don't let their emotions control them doesn't mean they don't have emotion.
yeah, he said, remember what the doctor said, your emotions are more powerful than anybody's. You use all these methods to control them. So
Right.
um
And I love
that
how
was
they introduced the harp here. The Vulcan harp that he plays later on in the series in
yeah,
TOS. Now,
yeah, they
now
keep it
Stella did
recorded.
point out though in first season when he's in his quarters with T'Pring, the harp's already in his quarters. So why wouldn't Benga give him a new one? That didn't make that's a little bit of a gaff there, but that
Yeah.
didn't make any sense to me.
Somebody else brought that up. I think I was watching Trek Yards and they brought that up too. So
Stella
I
says
would
right here, Spock was still fighting his emotions until he mind melded with V'ger.
hmm.
And remember, there were moments in the original series, like a mock time, where he thought he killed Kirk, and he smiles when he finds out Kirk's alive.
Or in the original series, or when he's on
Yeah,
original pilot, he's laughing.
or the original pilot where he
Yeah,
he
he's cracking up.
giggles.
It's like a meme. I see it. I see it on a meme everywhere. But um,
There have
I
been,
am good.
there were moments where Spock was, yeah. She says the harp was on Spock's wall during the first season of Strange New Worlds, so that's a little gaff right there with the whole harp thing. But that's the only thing that I saw that bugged me about the season.
Yeah, and like I said, I was like I said, other than the cliche, still the Enterprise. I thought the acting and performances were good. I like the
What's
tech. I like
funny,
the Klingons.
what's funny is Sean Ferrick over at Trek Culture mentioned the same thing you did. Why are we stealing the Enterprise
Yeah.
again?
Is that like a rite of passage? Every show they're gonna have to steal the ship, or every movie series at some point during that movie series, we got to steal the ship. And then no one ever gets really. But I mean, Kirk got demoted to a rank that he always wanted to be back in anyway. And obviously Spock, because they had bigger issues, he's not getting busted because and then and Pike, Pike's gonna steal. I mean, none of these guys are gonna get busted. So it's like, okay, cool.
No,
Kirk stole it and got it crashed, destroyed the ship, and still stayed in Starfleet. So
Vince points out that he laughed in Voyage Home.
yeah, but remember, he was still becoming. He was all scrambled at that point. So I can understand.
He was still coming out from being scrambled eggs at the point.
Yeah, resurrected, I guess would be the proper term. But like I said, I thought this was not the best episode, but it was a good episode. But
I have to say this.
This show gets better, Go ahead.
He is a great actor. The guy playing Mbanga, I love this character.
Yeah, he's very believable.
And like you said, the whole combat thing, you could tell he has PTSD.
Yeah.
Just the line where he talks about the 121 million people dead during the war.
Yeah, and see, they never even go over that. They never go over how bad this war was with the Klingons.
And the thing is I looked it up on the timeline. That war lasted a year. It started with the Battle of the Binary Stars in Discovery, and it went from 2256 to 2257. And that many people died.
Wow, that's a lot of people. And to still be able to have a peace treaty, and now look at where the Klingons are at. We went from that many people dying in the Klingon War to Worf.
Yeah, but remember
how wide a span it covers.
There was a Cold War with the Klingons up until the Khitomer Accords.
Yes.
And there were two sets of Khitomer Accords. The ones that started with the Battle of Khitomer, they're above Khitomer in Star Trek 6, and then right after Narendra 3, there was another set of Khitomer Accords.
Yeah, because of the Enterprise C sacrifice.
Right.
Yeah, which is why I would tie all this to Enterprise, and I would tie this into yesterday's Enterprise, and I would release. There would be like a massive villain. I'd have two villains. I'd have that future guy that's in Star Trek, that's in Enterprise that you never got to see, and then I'd have a Klingon, a flat-headed Klingon, that is like the ultimate just piece of crap, merciless, and he has his crew, and he's like a ruling class because he's backed up by the Romulans, and he basically he doesn't enslave the Ridgehead Klingons, but he makes them such a second class because they have the power, and that's what you see when you first see Trouble with Tribbles and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I would be saying, when Worf says we don't talk about it, it was because, you basically were ruled by a class of people who were augmented by the Romulans. And that's where they would have gotten a lot of their tech from, all that stuff. And I would tie it all together. I hope they do. Because
Stella says Enterprise Bingo must steal ship every other episode.
Still a ship, romantic involvement, all kinds of stuff. I mean, but it's a bingo that works. So I was on board with it. So like I said, this episode was a good start. Ferrick also denotes anytime Kabayusha Maru is mentioned, hey man. But at least we actually get, we get to actually see the no-win scenario.
Yeah.
Before for 30 years, the Kobayashi Maru was just something that you knew Kirk did.
Yeah.
And then when you figure out he cheats, you see it in Enterprise, you see it in Star Trek, the actual movie, the 2009, and then you see it you see it over and over again, the no-win situation. and Kirk's I don't believe in no win situations, and that was what Star Trek Two was all about. So
And here
what
you
else we
have
got there?
them in street clothes.
Yeah, they look cool in street clothes.
I
I
have to say the costumes this season have been awesome. I mean, like for this show, the costuming has been great.
I didn't know Jess Bush was wearing a wig. I thought she was a blonde. That's
No,
a wig.
no, she's not a blonde.
Like I saw it when they showed her on her Instagram when she's all busted up and she has her wig off. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, let's
she's
all go down to the dangerous planet there. That's your bingo card. Let's take all the important people on the skeleton crew ship and go down to the most dangerous place you could go. That's on your bingo card right there.
yeah. Now, I wanted to bring this up. This is something Stella put in the back thing. Uh, this is coming out, I think, next week.
What
It's the
is that?
Picard Legacy Collection.
Oh Lord. Please don't use that. Did they
Uh,
use that word? Did they use the word legacy?
yeah,
Damn it.
it's the Picard Legacy Collection. What it comes with is I have to go back here. It's a 54 disc Blu-ray box set. It includes all of Next Generation seasons 1 through 7. It includes Star Trek Picard seasons 1 through 3, Star Trek Generations, First Contact, Nemesis, and Insurrection. You've got a magnetic com badge, 4 Chateau Picard drink coasters, a custom deck of playing cards, and a book called The Wisdom of Picard.
No wine? Doesn't come with Picard Chateau wine?
No, just with the coasters.
Oh.
But this comes out October 17th, so it's a few months from now. But I think that's an
Oh,
interesting little collection of stuff.
we're already a few months away from October. Oh, gee
Yep.
whiz. What is this time? I'm still in the heat here, so
And Clinton
uh,
says the soundtrack for this season is really good too, and it is. It's freaking
yeah,
amazing.
the score is great. Yeah, Clint's waiting. We're about to go see the Flash again. So we're about to go wrap that. So this is going to be an abbreviated episode, guys. For those of you who are watching later on, most of you are going to be watching later on in the evening. But yeah, we just wanted to touch on this episode, and I hadn't done a Star. My schedule has been absolutely blitzed. So I wanted to be doing Star Trek weeklies in between, shows and stuff. But I just didn't have my schedule was like, oh. So I really wanted to get out of the gate, and I am going to work with Dave and Stella so that we can do a Twitch watch party. So when these episodes come out, you guys can be with us to watch those, and then we can talk about them again. But yeah, man, this summer movie release madness is just taking everything out of me. I'm literally gonna in about 5 minutes. I'm headed up the street to hand out flash posters and stuff to people going to the movie, so I can see that again. So I'll be talking. I'll be doing my spoiler. We're probably doing a spoiler review. You've seen the Flash, right, Dave?
No, I'm not going to see it for a while, but I know pretty much. I mean, they
Okay.
basically spoiled the whole movie online, so I know what's going on.
Okay, because tomorrow as part of the overnighter, we're gonna do some spoiler talk on it. So I will have the big spoiler logo on it because I think
That's
Dave's
fine.
gonna know.
I
So
don't. I don't mind spoilers. It's already been all spoiled for me. So
okay, guys. All right. Well, that's it. Half hour is all I had for today, but I did want to break the ice because it's been too long since we did a Star Trek Weekly. I'm off to see the Flash. So 2 hours and 20 minutes, 25 minutes later, I'll probably be back. I don't know if I'm going to be on later on tonight. I'm still working on the home studio, but I might just pass out and go to sleep.
oh, that
So
sounds like a good plan.
probably what I should do. So, all right, guys, thank you guys for being here. Thank you not only for the people who were able to make it live, but for the people who will be watching this later on. Please like and subscribe both the Poindexter Lounge and my channel, youtube.com/ at the Sci-Fi Center. Get updates and everything else. And for those of you who have seen The Flash already, go see it 3 or 4 more times. This will be my second time. And we'll talk about that and more Trek tomorrow, and anything else we can fit into an overnighter. So see y'all later.